Assalamualaikum Azizul. My name is Nuraftika bin Kamuddin and my partner Anis Suhaila binti Azmi will be presenting on analysis of Malaysia educational system in the aspect of its socio-cultural diversity. So in this presentation, we will be discussing and analyzing the history of Malaysia, socio-cultural diversity in Malaysia, development of Malaysia educational system, Malaysia National Education Philosophy NEP, and lastly is the realization of NEP. So firstly is the history of Malaysia. Here we provide a quotes by Machiavelli. He says that whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past. So here history is very important. So first one is the introduction of Malaysia. We already know that our beloved homeland is from two parts, which is the first one Peninsular Malaysia and the second one is East Malaysia. So here I will explain a bit about the beginning of the Malaysia. First, Peninsular Malaysia is known as Malaya, and the prehistory to 1st century of BC is that where Malaya has been the earliest trading relationship established with China and India. China and India is the powerful powers during at that time and very influential. And when we do tradings with these two powers, China and India, their culture affects our culture also. This is can see with the evidence of the Buddhist and Hindu belief in our Malay language, literature, and others many customs. So for the second point is the introduction of Islam. Here it says that during 15th century, but actually it is not recorded until para Meswara came to Melaka for settle down in Melaka during at the 17th century. So how Islam is introduced at this time is that after Parameswara settled down in Melaka, he opened the Melaka port and it became famous. And many other traders came from China, India, and Arabs. So the Islam came from the Arab traders. So during this time, his sons, who took over the throne after he's no longer in this world, has become the first Malay that converted into Islam. After he converted into Islam, the rule of Malacca at that time become a sultanate system. So third is the European influence. European influence happened during 16th until 19th centuries. So first, the Portuguese invade Malacca. When they see that Malacca is prosper, they want to invade Malacca and conquer, and they succeed in 30 days only when they chase down the Sultanate to Johor. And then they build a fortress and forestall every trouble, and then they start set up the Christian missions. After the Portuguese came the Dutch. The Dutch also wants to conquer because of the trading, and then they want to influence their power because they are from Indonesia, and then they want to invade Malaya because they want to expand their power. So after the Dutch is British, but British came at 17,000s through British East India Company that led by Francis Light. But they did not land in Malacca. They started at Penang and they pressed the Kedah Sultan at that time to give in to them. And actually, Francis Light came not because of the trading, but actually because they want to expand their power. They want to drive out the Dutch from Malaya. Then it is successful because Dutch have gone back to Indonesia, and British has conquered the Malaya at that time. So for the island of Borneo, here there are several powers that conquer them, which is the Anglo-Dutch, who loosely took over Kalimantan, and then the northwest were ruled by the Sultan of Brunei, and Sabah was ruled or not. They have to send an annual sum to the British North Borneo Company, ruled by London. But this all stopped until Japanese invade during World War II. So at that time, we came back to Peninsular Malaysia when Kuala Lumpur also has expanded during 1857, where they are famous because of the tin mining at that time. So many people from India, China, and other parts of Malaya came because they want to mine the tin, because it is very precious at that time. So because many settlement is built at Kuala Lumpur during that time, it is flourished, and in 1896 it became the capital of the British Malayan Territory. So after that came the World War II and Malaysia independence, where in 1941 the Japanese conquered Malaysia and en route to Singapore. But after the war, British want to claim back Malaya, but at that time the people of the nation are being they are no longer want to be ruled by others, so they are united, and on August 1st, 1957, Malaya our independence. And shortly we are joined by the Borneo, which is Sabah and Sarawak, and also in Singapore at 1960s. But Singapore has departed from Malaysia, ejected from the Federation in 1965 and until today. So for the post-independence, it happens in late 20th century, where during this time when all are united under one nation, there are a big problem happen because of the racial tension. So this led to a race riots happens in 1966. But in 1980s, the Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, who led the UMNO, United Malays National Organisation. He led the country, and during at that time, Malaysia's economy grew steadily, and the country, as the country industrialized. So for next is socio-cultural diversity in Malaysia, because many from the history, we know that many people came from India, China, so our country has become diverse. So here we can see ethnic groups and languages. There are several differences in ethnic groups and languages. For example, in Peninsular Malaysia, we have Aboriginal peoples, the Malays and Chinese, and the South Asians. And for the East Malaysia is the Sabah and Sarawak, where they have lots of other ethnic, such as Kenyah, Iban, Azan, and such. So religion also the same. In Peninsular Malaysia, we have Islam for the Malays and the Indian Muslims, and for the Chinese, they are usually they hold the moral precepts of Confucianism, or they follow Buddhism or Taoism, and also Christian for the Chinese and the Hindus. And for at the East Malaysia, also the same. Sarawak and Sabah also hold the same. And then the development of Malaysia educational system. So here I want to explain a bit from the very early stage, which is the primitive and feudal periods during 14,000 until 1786, where during this time the education was typical of feudal societies, because only the royalties have the benefits to study, and the normal people they learns more to skills, living skills like farming, fishing, and such. And then came the colonial period. So after that came the colonial period. So this is a bit long because colonial period happens a very long time, from 1786 until 1957. 1957 is when Malaysia got we got our Independence Day, right? So during these colonial periods, there are 3 stages, which is the first one is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire, divide and rule, from 1786 until 1941. The Japanese colonization, 1941 until 1945, and the last one is the education after World War II, 1956 until 1957. So I will explain a bit about divide and rule first, laissez-faire. So during this time, laissez-faire, this is basically under the colonialism of British. So here, they hold no clear policy on education through their divide and rule policy. British did not intend to establish rapport between the different races in Malaysia, which is Malays, Indian, and Chinese. So various vernacular schools were presented to only particular ethnic groups, but this is run by the missionaries, either by the missionaries, British people, a rubber and a coffee plantation owner, or local residents associations. So here at this time, each ethnic groups were to be educated based on their race. Okay, so for example, the Malays cultivate the land, Chinese mining and business, and Indians mostly as the plantation and estates. So here, after the British done this, there are several status quo and status quo of different races, and it is easy to identify the races based on their education, because like I have explained earlier, Malay cultivate fields, Chinese mining or business, and Indian plantation. So if we saw them, then we know. So next is for the Japanese colonizations. Colonization happens from 1941 until 1945, only 4 years. This is happening during the World War II, where education was used as a tool of propaganda, because they want to build love and loyalty for the Japanese emperor. So during this time, the English and Mandarin languages are banned in school, and several Malay schools in Kedah and Chinese vernacular schools in Sarawak were reopened by the Japanese, and it is used, as I said earlier, to spread their propaganda. And almost all secondary schools in Kedah were used as army operations centers by the Japanese. So for the next one, the educations after the World War II. So this one is a bit lengthy because we have many plans and reports and acts. So the first one is, this one is happening until 1957. Okay, so the first one is the Cheeseman Plan, where here it holds free basic education for all. Medium of instruction in secondary school is English, English language, Malay language, Mandarin, Tamil, and English language is compulsory for all the vernacular schools. Secondly is the Barnes Report, where it proposed all primary vernacular schools maintain one single standard and become national school using the same syllabus with bilingual languages, which is the Malay and the English. So the secondary school had to maintain English as the medium of instructions, and it replaced the Jawi script with Islamic educations. So the third one is the Fern Wu Report. So here is the medium of instruction for vernacular schools are English, Mandarin, and Malay. Okay, so The argument here is that countries still can achieve unity though there was diversity in the medium of instructions, because here he used three languages, which is English, Mandarin, and Malay for medium of instruction. For the third one is the Education Ordinance. This is based on Barnes' report, where 5 types of schooling system are being applied, which is English school, where English is a medium to speak, and then Malay school, so Malay as a medium for instructions, Chinese, and then Chinese school, Tamil school, religious schools, and the curriculum in the school is according to individual school system. For example, English school, the curriculum is based on English. So the religious school, the curriculum is based on the religion. So for the next one is the Raza report. Raza report is shared by Dato Abdul Razak Hussein, where he received 151 memorandums, and the report proposed one common school system for all. Okay, they don't want the 5 type of schooling like the Education Ordinance. So then they want the Malay language as the medium of instruction of all stages of schooling. So because before this, English is the medium for the secondary, so they don't want that, and they want to centralize curriculum and school examination, so it is fair and square to all. In 1960, the Rahman Talib report emerged, where Malay language as main language in schools, and they want to free all the secondary school education and automatic promotion until Form 3. So no need for examination for you to pass. You can automatically go up to other standards until Form 3. So it is, other than that, it is establishment of technical and vocational schools during this time, the Rahman Talib report, and also the emphasis on religious and moral educations. So after that is the Education Act 1961, where aspect elaborations is level of educations. First they want the primary school education, and then the lower secondary school education, upper secondary school education, education in other educational institution. It is same as now, because we have primary school, secondary school, then we have college, and then universities as the highest level of education, and also in the university also we have different standards of level of education that we can achieve, and the highest is the doctorates. So next is the Hussein report 1971. This report provide a basic education for all children of school-going age. So from this report, they acknowledge the Malay language as the main medium of instruction. So they don't want other language to be a medium of instruction. They want Malay language as the medium of instruction. So this one, from this report, it maintains the status of English language as the second language. Even though the Malay language is the instruction language or the main medium for instruction in school, but English is still important because it became the second language used in school. So, and then here also in this report also there are time allocated for teaching of English language, and teachers will be given a necessary training. So from here we can see that on the Hussein reports, they did highlight English language, also the same as the Malay language, meaning that Malay language is important. So because these are our mother tongues, and they want they still, it is still acts as an identity for us, but the English language is same important, because they highlight that the teachers want to teach English have to undergo trainings, and there are time allocated also for teaching English. So here shows that English is equally important. And then the 1976 Mahathir report. So this report is chaired by Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Dr. Mahathir. The main objective is to review the goals and effectiveness of the present education system for the purpose of meeting the manpower needs of the country, both for the short and long term. Besides this, to also ensure that the education system meets the country's goal of producing a united, disciplined and skilled society. So from this report, we can see that Dr. Mahathir, he highlighted about skills. You see, I mean, the main objective is to review the effectiveness of the present education, because he highlighted about the manpower needs of the country. So basically, he highlighted about how schools or education can produce students with skills in future. So the last one is education. Not the last one. Is it the last one? The Education Act 1996. So Education Act 1996 aims to further consolidate the national education system for the young generation in accordance with the country's aspiration of making Malaysia a centre of excellence for education. And then it also to outline the legislation related to education and 3 general legislative provisions, the national philosophy of education, which was proclaimed in 1988 and formed the underlying basis. So this is all for the education. For the national philosophy of education, I will pass this to the next presenter, Anis. So that's all from me.
Now, we move on to the Malaysian National Education Philosophy, or in Bahasa Melayu we call it Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan. Let me remind you that it is important for you to know how national education philosophy is formed. The key to this formation are the Razak Statement or Laporan Razak, as what my friend had presented just now, and the other important element is Rahman Talib report. With these two, national education philosophy is formed. However, there is another important event that contributes to the formation of national education philosophy. The tragedy of 30th May in 1969. This tragedy is the starting point of the unity in Malaysia. It urges the efforts towards creating a harmonious society. Then, with this event also, a new economic policy was introduced. It eradicates or abolished the poverty and racial identification by occupation. After this tragedy, there is no more Chinese working in the mines and nor Indian working in the rubber estates. And Rukun Negara is also introduced, which acts as a basic guide for every citizen to live in peace and harmony. Another important event is a cabinet committee report was held in 1974 and 1979, or we call it Laporan Jawatan Kuasa Kabinet 1974 atau Laporan Jawatan Kabinet 1979. It reviewed the implementation of national education philosophy, and it also reaffirmed the goal of unity by stating in Perkara 1, it says here that the country's goal is to create a cohesive society, discipline, and train. It also emphasized the characteristic of good citizen. The good citizen should have determination, willingness to live together with harmony and peace, as well as having consciousness, personality, and values as Malaysians. A good citizen must respect and comply with laws and regulations, willing to work or make something so perfect, respect the rights of individuals. And a good citizen also can participate effectively in development activities of the country. In the current national education system, philosophy education is not explicitly stated. However, the desire of the nation's educational goals have been reflected, as I said earlier, in Rasak's statement, Rahman Talib Report, Education Act 1961, and Committee Report Cabinet 1974. Now, we have come to the factors influencing the formation of national education philosophy. There are 6 factors that are influencing the formation of NEP. The first one is religious, social, political, economic, individuals, and universal. And these are all part of Malaysian social culture. National education philosophy. Let me read that for you. Education in Malaysia is an ongoing effort towards further developing the potential of individuals in a holistic and integrated manner so as to produce individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced and harmonious, based on a firm belief in and devotion to God. Such an effort is designed to produce Malaysian citizens who are knowledgeable and competent, who possess high moral standards, and who are responsible and capable of achieving high level of personal well-being, as well as being able to contribute to the harmony and betterment of the family, the society, and the nation at large. The first factor is religious. In Malaysia, religions are freely practiced according to national law. So we all know that Islam is the religion of Malaysia. So in addition, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and so on are also freely practiced according to the national law. So these religions, especially Islam, are important factors as fundamental consideration in the process of formulating the national education philosophy. So this element of religion can be appreciated from this statement, which is to create a harmonious and balanced human being intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically based on belief in and devotion to God. The next factor, which is social factors. So we all know that Malaysian society are multiracial. So harmony and prosperity of the country relies on the practice of tolerance, cooperation, and mutual respect on each other. So this positive attitude is very important in pursuit of racial unity in most important criterion for creating stable social conditions. And next is political. As we all know, the national philosophy of education was formulated based on the ideology of the country as reflected in the official documents such as Report of Education, Malaysian Plan, and the National Pillars. Now we move on to the next one is economic factors. Malaysians who are trained in various skills can help the country develop the economy by increasing its productivity. This goal can be achieved with to produce Malaysians who are knowledgeable, skilled, virtuous, responsible, and able to achieve personal well-being and contribute to prosperity of the country. So this ambition is to grow the Malaysian economy has been one of the goals in national education as stated in the National Philosophy of Education. And next we have the individual factor. Individual potential can be developed through the educational process. The potential of this individual covering intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical aspect. The development of individual potential comprehensive and integrated with the balanced and harmonious human being. So a balanced human being and a harmony always practice an attitude of gratitude, always enjoy peace of mind, as well as being ready to face the challenges of life calmly. And last one is the universal factor. The formulation of national education philosophy is inseparable from the influence of development of the international education system. In this regard, the ideas generated from international education, Seminars, on the other hand, it carried their influence on the national philosophy of education. And now we have the realization of national education philosophy. I might say, or we agree, that everyone is contributing to the realization of NEP. Ministry also plays an important role in implementing the curriculum and co-curriculum outline that can successfully develop the potential of students in terms of intellectually, physically, emotionally, and spiritually as whole and integrated. And then, school also plays an important role where it shapes the school culture. For the community, the implementation of relationship with the community by creating smart partnership between the school and the community helps to create a spirit of cooperation in order to help school development both in financial resources and energy. Last one is teachers, of course. Teachers are responsible in nurturing each student with attitudes and values that can guide them to become good citizens. And now, here are the examples of programs or activities that can be done in school in order to promote the unity, in order to promote bahasa kebangsaan, and also to promote good social skills. To promote unity and patriotism, there are several programs that can be done. For example, we can have weekly assembly where we sing lagu negaraku to instill the patriotism in ourselves. We can also do a lot of celebration like Independence Day celebration, and we also can have a lot of competition. For example, marching competition, patriotic song competition, and also right now many schools offers language learning. So we can learn Mandarin, we can learn Tamil, we can learn Bahasa Semai and Kadazan in any schools. The next one, in order to promote Bahasa Melayu as Bahasa Kebangsaan, we can hold a debate competition. We can also do a poetry recitation competition, or even pantun competition or creative writing. Last one, in order to promote a very good social among the multiracial community, the government had introduced us with rancangan integrasi murid untuk perpaduan, or we call it as RIMO. And then they also introduced us with dasar satu murid dan satu sukan. And to summarize our findings, national education philosophy is indeed derived from the social cultural of our country. It is beautifully formed in order to suit to our multiculturalism. So in our part as a teacher, we need to respect it and deliver the direction to our children. And that's all. Let us share you with a beautiful quotation by Eleanor Roosevelt. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. That's all. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.